Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday, dear Emily. I can't believe we're 30. So yesterday I turned the big 3-0. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of shocking to think that I made it to 30. And I remember when I was younger and 30 was old. Oh my gosh, you're 30 and I'm here. I'm 30. It's weird because I don't feel 30. I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing and that there's no way I should be in control of anything ever. But I'm here. And so I think going into this next decade of my life, I want to take the best outlook possible on it. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about big milestones in life and how they can be really scary and how I'm sure they're going to teach us something like everything else. So here's to being 30, flirty, and thriving. So I didn't come up with the 30, flirty, and thriving reference just before anybody yells at me for using that. It comes from one of my favorite movies, 13 Going on 30. It's a really fun, it's a total chick flick, but I absolutely love it. If you haven't seen it and you're a Jennifer Gardner fan and a Mark Ruffalo fan, hit it up. It's got an amazing soundtrack. It's like all 80s classics. Michael Jackson, it's got a lot of Whitney Houston, it's got just everything. I remember, I've talked about it before, when I was living with my grandma when I was younger, I wasn't allowed to listen to worldly music, and I had convinced her that soundtracks are songs made for the movies, so clearly there can't be anything bad in them. And she used to buy me soundtracks to movies, and I know she knew that was crap, but I'm pretty sure she was just giving me that one for sure. But 13 Going on 30 was like one of my favorite soundtracks I had. That one was always on my CD player. I absolutely love it. It's gold. So before I start, I would like to give a shout out to two adorable viewers, Miss Aurora Jade and Willow. Hello, baby beautifuls. How are you doing? They watch my show with their dad. And I am so absolutely honored that I am getting your attention rather than like Ryan's toy reviews or, you know, some Roblox gameplay. I'm so happy to have you guys. One of these times I'm gonna have to do like a video of just my unicorn collection, which isn't that big, but I know you guys would probably like it. So I am so happy to know I have two beautiful faces, Miss Aurora Jade and Miss Willow. Hello, you beautiful girls. I hope that you have an amazing week and I love your little faces. So 30 is kind of a crazy number to hit. I wouldn't say that I'm going through a midlife crisis, but I definitely would say that I'm having new kind of emotions or feelings. I don't know what to really call them. It's just kind of this weird where I contemplate and think about things that I never would have thought about in, you know, younger. And it's funny how things that used to be so important aren't important in your 30s. Like not even a little bit. You know, when you're a lot younger and people tell you, you know, you'll understand when you hit 30 or when you know, get older. And that's usually like an annoying thing to hear as a young adult, because it really feels like you're just being dismissed 100%, like because you're not as old as somebody else, then you can't possibly understand or comprehend, you know, certain things. And I wouldn't say that that's right, but it's right. It totally is right. You know, I've never been scared about turning 30. I know for a lot of women it can be, you know, it can be stressful and it makes them nervous and uncomfortable, and you know, you're hitting this peak that, you know, you really feel like from here, it's an age thing. It's your looks, how are you gonna age, you know, what's gonna happen, and we worry about all these silly things that ultimately aren't aren't really important, but they do affect us. You know, you can't say that just stop worrying about it, because that's not, it's not easy. You can't just stop worrying about things like that. I think we all, you know, have those moments. But it can be a big thing for most women. I've been ready. I've been waiting for it. You know, my 20s were hard. I went through a lot of hard stuff in my 20s. I had been when I was 21. I got spaghetti wasted on my birthday that year. I, you know, had Charlie 3 years after that. And then 3 months after I had Charlie, I became a single mom, you know, and went through a divorce and went through getting out of a horribly toxic, abusive relationship. And then, you know, pushing through all of those years. The past 5 years have really been a doozy. The past 5 years, you know, I've gotten a divorce. I've gone through, and still in a lot of ways am going through issues with things that go along with divorce and custody and co-parenting. That's enough to go through on your own, on top of everything else that I feel like I've been through, you know. I went through a horrible house fire with my kids when I was living with my parents in Oklahoma. We lost absolutely everything. And then from there, that kind of caused some issues in my immediate family, and my, you know, my parents and my brother and sister kind of exiled me to my own island. So I'm no longer allowed to be a part of any, I'm just not allowed to be a part of the family, I guess is what to say. And eventually I'll probably blog about that more in detail, but it's something I'm still going through, you know, going through harassment and just abuse and just toxic interactions from toxic family members has been probably the biggest hit I would say I took in my 20s. You know, when you grow up in a family that it's like mine, where you're so close and everything that you do involves everybody else. Like, you don't get to just move. It's, you have to find out what everybody else thinks about what move you should take, and then consider all of their opinions before you're allowed to take that move. And then if you take that move and it's not the move they wanted you to take, Katie barred the door. You know, but on top of that, we've always been a close family. You know, Christmases and holidays and lots of love and togetherness. But sadly, there's also stuff that's not okay. And I stood up for myself, and it didn't go well. But, you know, going through that and losing such a big piece of something that really defined me in a lot of ways was a really big hit. And I can tell that I've been struggling through that. I can tell that I feel like I very much lost a piece of myself. And outside of like the normal pains and you know, things that you go through going through something so painful and traumatic like that, on top of, you know, getting to this point in my life, it feels like a lot of weight, and it's really hard to deal with. But, you know, I'm trying to figure that out one day at a time. And I think that due to where I'm at in my life now, I think that I'm really getting to where I'm going to be able to handle things in a much more healthy and positive way. So I think through my 20s it was difficult because everything was very emotional, and I was very just naive, and I really was so in such a controlled environment growing up, you know, being homeschooled and really only interacting with my immediate family members who I lived with. It really, you know, I didn't know. I went into everything so innocent and so naive. And through my 20s, it was really hard because everything was so emotional. Things like abusive relationships and toxic relationships aren't really talked about in my family. Things like, you know, anxiety and depression and dealing with such things aren't really talked about in my family. You know, just those kinds of things. So everything that I faced, I really had no like experience or friends to go to, or you can't take a lot of stuff to your parents. You know, it's like any other teenager. So through my 20s, I really feel like I just wasn't prepared or ready to handle anything. So everything that I faced, I was just really going into blind. And I made a lot of really bad choices and a lot of just childish choices. You know, you think that when you're 20 years old, you're an adult and you got it figured out and you know what you're doing, and you really don't. You don't. I definitely didn't. And it took me a really long time to get to where I am, and I would have never in a million years thought that I would be the person that I am, the person that, you know, has taken control of things like her depression and her anxiety and claimed them as a part of who she is, and works every day to try and live her life without them negatively affecting her. You know, I'm somebody who, you know, I used to be so shy and such a doormat, and now I challenge people and I stand up for myself, and I know that I have a right to say things and a right to feel things. I don't hide everything. I used to hide absolutely everything, and I just floated through a lot of my 20s, definitely the first 5 years of my 20s. Maybe not that many. I think I was in 2013 was when I went through my separation and then through my divorce. So from 2013 to now was really the biggest growth for me, and it was scary. It was really scary to go from, you know, basically having everything in your life dictated to, you know, no car, no friends, you don't go anywhere, you don't do anything. The only people you interact with is your husband, your kids, your immediate family. The only places you go is to the grocery store or to your mom's house. You know, there's just nothing ever. And to go from that to where I am now was a really big jump. And a lot of it was because I never felt brave. Like, I still don't feel brave. And after I went through my divorce and became a single mom was when I really figured out that I could do things. I could be in control of my own life. And I think growing up, I was always treated like the baby of the family, because I am. And I really feel like anytime I tried to take control of my life, I felt like I was doubted a lot, and I was never going to be able to do it by myself, and I was always going to need somebody to hold my hand. But a lot of that was just what I was being fed, and after, you know, you live in an environment for so long, that kind of stuff can be really negative on your mindset, and you start believing that crap, and it's totally true. And, you know, once I got out of that and started seeing that it just wasn't what I had always thought it was such a huge game changer. Like, I really feel like the past 5 years of my life, I'm really seeing the world. And because of that, I feel like I went through a lot of things that people go through in phases, but I just got them all in my 20s. Like, just everything hit on my 20s. You know, I got married, had babies, got divorced, went through a house fire, lost my family, not to the house fire, but you know, I moved states. I moved to a new state. I, you know, took control of my life. I took control of my brand. And ultimately now going into my 30s, I feel like I'm able to, I don't know, respond to life instead of react to life. And that's really the best way that I can put it. Is so much going through your 20s is a roller coaster of emotions and figuring things out and trying to learn how you deal with things like pain and anxiety and loss and stress and heartbreak. Learning how to, you know, learn from those types of heartaches and pains and negative experiences, so you can move forward more positively instead of just letting them completely dictate your life and being a victim for the rest of your life. You know, you're learning all these things through your 20s that are only the like base of the structure that makes you who you are. You know what I mean? Like, through my 20s, I went through so much heartache and pain that it really broke me. It really did. It broke me very, very much so. And I'm going into my 30s now, able to acknowledge that heartbreak, acknowledge, you know, what broke me, acknowledge, you know, whatever the circumstances of my story are, which I'm not going to explain obviously, but I can acknowledge all of that in my life. So now going into my 30s, I can just work on getting better. And that's what I want. I just want to be better and stronger and more in control of myself, you know, because it's my life. I want to be in control of myself even more. I work so hard on my anxiety and my depression, and I can honestly say that going into my, you know, getting older, my depression and anxiety has definitely gotten worse. So I'm working really hard to keep acknowledging that, keep acknowledging, you know, the fact that it's a daily process and that I'm not always going to be, you know, having my best days. There's going to be a lot of bad days, and that's okay. You know, when I was younger, it was just always just chaos, you know, because you don't accept things and you don't, you know, process them the same way, I guess. Because I didn't used to look at things factually. I used to really look at things more on an emotional basis, and then I allowed my anxiety to totally take me out and just convince me that I couldn't. So I didn't even try. I definitely think that my 20s was the decade of reacting, and I want my 30s to be the decade of responding to life. And, you know, several years ago, there were so many things that bothered me and got my energy and got my focus that now I just know they're a waste of my time. You know, I went through something recently. I was doxxed online. Me and my fiance were both doxxed online due to something my family had done, and they were helping with the doxing online, and it was absolutely horrible. It was horrific. And the things that were being said about me and my fiance were absolutely horrific. And, you know, I knew I have a lot of people that were sending me screenshots, and in the past I would have just been gut sick. You know, when people are harassing you and bullying you online, it just makes you absolutely gut sick, especially when it's all lies, because it's such a violating feeling, you know what I mean? And several years ago I would have been a mess, and I just didn't even give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, I knew they were all lies. I knew they were people that were just trolling. I knew that every person involved was just acting out of either anger and bitterness and hate from, you know, my family side, and then just ugly, nothing but internet trolls that this is all they do anyway, so of course they're having a good time. You know, I thought to myself, it's all lies and it doesn't matter and it doesn't hold any weight in my life, so I don't even care. And I wouldn't have been able to do that before, like, not even slightly. It would have absolutely, I would have had to have reacted, and I would have gotten online, and I would have posted something on Facebook, or I would have gotten involved in comments. And that's never positive. That's not a positive thing to do. All that does is fuel the fire. It gets at you. It makes you even more upset, more stressed out. Then you're giving the people that are harassing and bullying you all of the fire that they need. You know, you're just feeding into them that drama that they want. And reacting is never a positive thing. And at this point in my life, you know, I really stop and I think about it and I break it down and I decide what I want it to be in my life. And if it's not something positive or beneficial for me and my family, I just respond factually if I have to. And if I don't have to respond at all, I'm not going to. I'm not going to let it have any type of hold in how I'm living or how I'm feeling or how, you know, I want my happiness. So I really think that going into my 30s, I want it to just keep going that way. You know, I'm learning to let things go. I'm learning what matters. I'm learning what real family is. I'm learning, you know, how kindness and love can change so much. I'm learning about the absolutely beautiful gifts that we're given in life, and I'm learning to let go of all of the things that can hide that goodness and make it feel like that goodness won't win. and I'm tired of living that way. So this year, to the year of the 30s, we will be 30 and responding only, and hopefully that goes well. I mean, I'm still a mess, who knows? So in closing, we are going to talk about some amazing sponsors, amazing people. First and foremost, who's got their mug of positivity? I know my Miss Modern Vintage Miss. Hold on. She always has her mug of positivity, and she just made the cutest reaction video where she kind of mimics some of the stuff I do in my intro, and she's drinking coffee out of her mug of positivity. And oh my gosh, you guys, it was like the best thing I had ever seen. I was like, oh my gosh, somebody likes what I'm doing so much that they made their own content admiring what I do, and it was a big deal. Okay, also I want to give a shout out to NC Fizzy Treats, my friend Nikki. She always has her mug of positivity while she's making her delicious CBD bath fizzies and goodies. Yes, she is. She made me the most epic bath bomb. I used it yesterday for my birthday. I scrubbed the tub out on purpose because I was just like, I need to do it. But so Modern Vintage Miss, you guys have to check her out. She has an amazing blog and does really cool stuff. She just started her first she started her YouTube channel, and she just did her first video, which was that little reaction video. And I felt absolutely just over the moon excited that somebody thought to do that. So thank you. I love you. If you guys want to get your own mug of positivity and post me, make sure you tag me so I can share your amazing supportive pics. You just visit my friends at Forever Above Me. Forever Above Me is a platform devoted to sharing what influences us most. They do such inspiring posts, so you guys can find the coolest people because they always pimp out the coolest people on their page. I'm wearing some new hand-carved wooden hangers. Aren't they beautiful? My friends at Two Feather Plugs hooked me up with these, so if you guys need anything for your stretched ears, Two Feather Plugs, you'll have to hit them up. This week's Monday Coffee Kisser was brought to you by Too-Faced again. So my friend sent me the most amazing gift, and she sent me some more of these Too Faced Melted Matte Liquid Lipsticks. I really like them. They're super comfortable. I absolutely love these things, and I wanted to try some more colors, so she sent me a metallic red, and she sent me just this matte red, and today I am wearing shade Lady Balls. It's a pretty true red. It has, I would say, kind of a blue undertone, but it goes on really smooth. It's super comfortable. No transfer. It dries down absolutely 100%. Yes, it does. But I think that's it. I think that's going to conclude today's episode. I want to thank you guys for spending Monday with me always. I am still working on Positively Pinup interviews. So I just sent out all of the interview questions to our first 12 ladies. So as soon as they start returning those, I'm going to be able to start doing the features. I started a page on Facebook and an Instagram. I'll link those below so y'all can check them out. And also, my second Daily Life of Doll video is going to be up this week as well. You guys will go on an adventure with me while I go birthday shopping for the little boy across the street. And I go get some Kratom, because I was out of Kratom. And we eat some french fries together. So remember, until next week, these are the days and years that fill our week, from the ages of 20 to the ages of however far we make it. So far for me, it's 30. Thank you for being here. Thank you for loving me. I absolutely love your faces. Make your days amazing, as well as everybody else you come in contact with. I will see you next time. Bye!